Good morning, everybody, and welcome into another program with the Schaumburg Library. I'm Chris. I'm your adult programs coordinator here at the library, and I am so happy to be with y'all this morning. Thank you all as well who pivoted with us and switched to our online format today. I hope you are cozy at home and staying warm. Before I hand things over to the Village of Schaumburg, just a few of our friendly program reminders for Zoom. You'll know that your cameras and microphones are off, so if you're having any technical difficulties during the program, you can reach out to me directly using the Q&A feature. You can find that on your Zoom toolbar, and I'll be able to go back and forth with you and hopefully solve any issue you might be experiencing. If you're experiencing any sound issues or video issues, you might also try, we are live streaming this to our YouTube page. So you can swing over to YouTube as well if that would suit your needs better. We have also turned on closed captions if that's convenient for you, and you can turn those on or off as you'd like using your Zoom toolbar. We'll take all questions at the end of today's program, but you can feel free to submit those as they're popping up in your head, again, using your Zoom toolbar. That way you don't forget them when we get to the end. So you'll find Q&A there, you can type them in, and we'll take those at the end. That's about it for me. I'm going to hand things over to Kassondra Schref, who is the new Director of Communications for the Village of Schaumburg, and she's going to get us started today. Kassondra, over to you.
Thank you, Chris. Good morning, everyone. Again, I'm Kassondra Schref, Director of Communications and Outreach for the Village of Schaumburg. Thank you for joining us for today's session, part of our new Village of Schaumburg Speakers Bureau, a program designed to connect our community with the experts who help deliver the services that keep Schaumburg running smoothly every day. We look forward to offering more of these educational sessions throughout the year. Today's topic is one that impacts every resident and business, providing information on how taxpayers dollars are allocated, managed, and invested to support essential village services. We're grateful to the Schaumburg Township District Library for hosting this event. Thank you. I'm pleased to introduce our presenter, Lisa Peterson, the village's Director of Finance. Lisa has served in this role since 2012 and brings extensive experience in municipal finance, along with leadership roles in several professional finance organizations. She leads the village's financial planning efforts and provides expert guidance on how resources are prioritized to support a safe, well-maintained, and thriving community. Lisa will walk us through how the village uses data, community input, village board priorities, and tools like the National Community Survey to guide the annual budget process. She'll also explain where our revenues come from and how funds, especially within the general fund, are distributed. Thank you again for being here today, and please help me in welcoming Lisa Peterson. Lisa, over to you.
Thanks, Kassondra. I appreciate it. Good morning, everyone, and happy Friday. Thank you for joining us today. As Kassondra mentioned, I've been with the village for 13 years, so we are just getting started on my 14th Schaumburg budget right now. The budget is our annual financial plan. It provides the framework for the services and projects we endeavor to provide to our residents and businesses each year. It takes about 6 months to develop the budget, but I promise not to bore you with too many numbers this morning. Rather, my goal is to give you a high-level overview of how we make decisions, set priorities, and deliver a financial plan that provides the services our stakeholders expect. There will be time for questions at the end. So let's get started. So I wanted to start with the village's mission statement. And I feel like it's important to just share it with you verbatim. So in partnership with the community, the mission of the Village of Schaumburg is to provide the highest quality municipal service to our customers through thoughtful planning, fiscal responsibility, and accessible, responsive, and proactive leadership, resulting in continuously improving quality of life. And on top of the mission statement, we also have the village's core values. Schaumburg's 5 core values are the heart and soul of how we operate. We dedicate ourselves to these values with the goal of providing excellent services and programs to meet the needs of our community and those within our organization. They guide our actions and serve as the framework for the decisions and contributions we make every day at every level. Quickly, our 5 core values are customer service. We take personal responsibility for exceeding expectations. Integrity, we maintain the public's trust and confidence by behaving honestly and ethically. Respect, we treat others as we would wish to be treated. Teamwork, we work together to achieve common goals. And trust, we do what we say we're going to do. So Kassondra mentioned the National Community Survey, and I wanted to just touch on a few of the highlights. This survey is sent out, I believe, every other year or so to a number, I think it's several hundred Schaumburg residents. So we use our core values plus the impact or the input we get from this national survey. We gather input from residents through the National Community Survey. Schaumburg has used this tool for over 10 years to guide our performance, and each time it's conducted, we've seen overwhelmingly positive ratings. We also receive input from elected officials, department directors, and employees. Back to the community survey, the National Community Survey, the data gathered provides key opportunities for improvement. In the most recent National Community Survey, we was revealed great satisfaction with residents, such as quality of life. 90% of respondents rate their neighborhood as an excellent or good place to live. 86% consider Schaumburg an excellent or good place to work. 81% say it's a great place to visit, and over 90% plan to stay in Schaumburg for the next 5 years. The local economy got high ratings, and as far as businesses and opportunities in Schaumburg, as well as the vibrancy of Schaumburg's excellent community services. Finally, a little, pat on our back. Government services also received 80 overall very excellent scores from the National Community Survey. 88% believe that the overall image and reputation of Schaumburg is excellent or good. 80% believe the village government is honest. Thank you for that. 78% believe the overall direction of the village is taking an excellent or good track. And finally, 78% believe our village officials are acting in the best interest of the community, and I would agree with that. These positive results are a direct reflection of the village board's leadership, the executive staff's dedication to implementing the board's vision, and the everyday hard work of our village employees. Together, they help make Schaumburg one of the most premier places to live, work, and stay. Okay, moving on. I'm going to talk a little bit about the financial environment. So the next thing we do once we gather that input from elected officials and residents, we assess the current and future economic environment and the key economic factors that play into the development of the budget. We look at things like local and regional indices such as inflation, the personal consumer index, and personal consumption expenditures. Excuse me. A little drink of water. As I mentioned earlier, we look at these national trends, and they play a role, but not a hugely significant role in our decision making. More so, we tend to look at local trends and our actual history. We also have to take a look at local challenges, such as public safety pension contributions. These rising costs will reduce funds available for general operations and will force an increase in the levy or identification of alternative revenue sources as a point in the future. We look at pending legislative changes. Many of you may know that the state of Illinois eliminated the state 1% grocery tax, which was distributed 100% to the municipalities where those groceries were purchased. That was a pretty significant impact for the village. It was, I think, over $4 million a year. So we have implemented our own grocery tax. Basically everything stays the same, but that goes into effect January 1, 2026. But we have to keep an eye on changes that the state is mandating in order to make sure we maintain our level of revenue so we can maintain our level of service. We are looking at personnel costs as well. You know, the village needs to attract and retain top talent in order to continue to provide excellent services. And then facility needs. I believe many of you know that we're building a new village hall, and you know, those of us, Cassandra and I, are both located in the temporary building that's located at 1000 Woodfield Road. And that soon, when the new municipal center is completed, the temporary facility will be torn down and a new police department headquarters will be constructed there. These are facility needs that really are needed. You know, where the police department is sort of, you know, working on top of one another over there. They really need some upgrades, and it's a good time to be providing those excellent facilities to the people who do so much for our community. As I mentioned, we also look at, we put a lot more value into Schaumburg's local economy and what we know, the trends that we see, and the trends that we have that we can validate because we have that data going back several years. You know, we look at we go back about 5 years to make sure we're not including old data, but as you can see, we've had, you know, excellent results in our distribution of revenues. Sales tax is not surprisingly our two main drivers of revenue for the village, and we need to make sure we keep it that way. So we're constantly monitoring our revenues. The finance department produces a very in-depth monthly report that is presented to the finance committee and then is also presented to the village board on a monthly basis. So our elected officials are constantly in tune with what's happening from a financial perspective. And we also look at what's happening, you know, on the ground in Schaumburg. I mean, there's so many exciting things happening right now. We factor in and consider new businesses and developments that will impact the village's resources and revenues. As you may know, income tax revenue is collected by the state and distributed to local municipalities based on population. As Schaumburg continues to grow in both housing and job opportunities, it's estimated that our population will increase. We need to make, you know, contributing to higher income tax revenues, but that also means that we need to maintain our robust services for new businesses and for new residential sections or developments. In recent years, the village has successfully attracted significant economic investments, particularly in the 90 North District. This area alone has added 893 new residential units. This project, including developments along the Summit Grove project, is another. Will add an additional 149 residential units. We anticipate that during the next census, the village will exceed 80,000 residents within village borders. That will increase income tax distributions, but it will also increase needs that will be needed to provide to our residents and businesses. So we need to make sure through the budgeting process that all of this is balanced and that we are prepared to provide those services that our residents and businesses expect. Next, after we gather all of this information, we then start to develop strategic initiatives and priorities that must be included in the budget. From the National Community Survey, we identified these strategic priorities as important for our fiscal year 25-26 budget that we're in right now. This includes improving mobility, enhanced household affordability, promoting public safety, advancing reliable utilities, and encouraging economic development. Once these strategic priorities are identified, then the departments develop their budget and annual goals with these priorities in mind. That all gets rolled into the departmental budgets. I promise not, oops, excuse me. There you go. I promise not a lot of numbers, but I did want to talk a little bit about the distribution of revenues. From a high level, this graph shows the top 10 categories that make up all village revenues. TIF property tax increment is used to support only the North Schaumburg TIF fund. Similarly, water and sewer revenues are used only to support the utility fund. Sales and income taxes and ambulance fees are used 100% to support the general fund. The general fund we'll talk about a little bit later, but is the primary operating fund that the village uses. All food and beverage taxes and hotel taxes are partially used to support the general fund, but they're also partially used to fund other maybe capital projects funds or the Hotel and Convention Center fund. Property taxes are exclusively used to make annual contributions to the public safety pension funds, police and fire pension funds. The remainder of the property tax levy, which hasn't changed since 2000, is used to support operations in the public safety operations in the general fund. The other revenue category includes things like permits and licenses, motor fuel tax, telecom taxes, and interest and investment income. And on the expenses side, this graph shows the distribution of expenses by type. Not surprising, the village is a service organization, so it is expected that personnel costs would make up the village's largest expense, followed by capital outlay and contractual services. Police and fire pension payments are reflected in the budget, but they are expenses of the pension funds. Operating transfers support other funds such as transit, capital, the Old Schaumburg Center, the baseball stadium, and residential refuse disposal fund. These transfers account for about 7% of total expenses. Debt service payments, not including the Hotel and Convention Center, account for just 3% of total expenses. All right, I mentioned the general fund as our primary operating fund, which includes public safety, public works, and administrative services. This is one of our favorite graphics because it shows in the general fund where the money comes from and where the money goes. As you can see, the number one source of revenue in the general fund is sales tax, followed by property tax, state income tax, charges for services, that's things like business licenses and such, the food and beverage tax, hotel tax is right there, number 7, right here. So it starts to get a little smaller as we get down that top 10. And then on the expense side, you can see the breakdown. Police protection is just over 30 million. That's in the current fiscal year budget. Fire is about 26 million, and then general government at 18, which includes general government includes all administrative services like the village manager's office, IT, finance, HR, communications, etc. All right. And my last slide today is just to let everyone know on the call today that our budget is an award-winning budget. The Government Finance Officers Association of the United States and Canada, also known as GFOA, presents a Distinguished Budget Presentation Award to the Village of Schaumburg for its annual budget for the fiscal year beginning May 1, 2024. We anticipate receiving this award again for the fiscal year began in 25 and will end in 26. In order to receive this award, a government must publish a budget document that meets program criteria as a policy document, as an operations guide, and as a financial plan and a communications device. It's not a given every year. It gets reviewed. The budget gets reviewed differently every year. There are a number of criteria that has to be met and information that must be included. The entire budget, of course, is available on our website if you'd like to see lots and lots of numbers, but we do try to make an engaging document because, like I said, it is our financial plan. It also includes the entire capital improvement plan, which I'm sure affects many of you as we all drive on those streets every day. And it's important to make sure that we have excellent infrastructure, when it comes to roads and when it comes to water services. We do our best to make sure that we are always providing excellent services to our residents and stakeholders. I feel like I went through those kind of quick, but that's the end of my presentation. I'm very happy to take some questions.
Lisa, thank you so much. If anyone has any questions for Lisa, about anything, you're welcome to throw those in the chat and the Q&A. If you feel that Lisa perfectly explained everything and you have now no questions, I mean, great, awesome. What a boon for Lisa. Lisa, if anyone wants to get any extra information about the budget after this presentation, is there a place they can go?
Certainly. Like I said, the entire budget is available on our website. My email address is also available on that website. I do from time to time receive questions. Happy to chat with anyone and happy to, exchange an email with anyone if they'd like. But yeah, there's a plethora of information on our website. If you go through the budget, yeah, there's lots of numbers, but there's also a good deal of context. Village manager writes a executive summary that gives the overall view of the budget and actually repeats a lot of the things that I stole a lot of his information from the budget for this presentation today. So yeah, there's a plethora of information on our website.
Wonderful. We do have a question from our online audience. How
Okay.
will the increase in property tax assessments impact the budget?
So the village levies $19.5 million or has levied $19.5 million for the last 6 years. So the EAV, the increase in assessed value, does not affect how much money the village is going to get. We're always only going to get $19.5 million. We're always going to get what we levy. In the past, it's been $19.5 million. So what happens is, as the EAV goes up and a person's property taxes go up, the village percentage actually goes down because our numbers, our levy doesn't change.
Wonderful. Another question, how much of the tax revenue is from resident taxes and fees versus business taxes?
Um, I don't have that breakdown, but I think maybe what the question is looking for is from a property tax perspective or from other revenues. Sales taxes, of course, are generated by residents and visitors. Everybody who shops at Woodfield Mall pays sales taxes. So I would say there's probably more consumer related, we get more consumer related revenues than revenues from businesses.
Wonderful.
Is that if that wasn't a good answer, or is the questioner has questions on that, feel free to expand on that.
Yeah, that was.
I'll do my best.
If you need more information, Mark, please feel free to throw another question in. But of course, they can always get your email address and email you to get a more direct answer. I'm not seeing anything else pop up, Lisa. So I think you answered everyone's questions very well. Cassandra, did you have something you wanted to wrap up with today? Oh, Cassandra, you're on mute.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Thank you, Lisa, for this informative presentation. Sorry, my computer's just froze up on me. Okay. Thanks, Lisa, for this clear and informative presentation. We hope this session has given you all a better understanding of how the village carefully plans, prioritizes, and manages public resources to support a strong and vibrant Schaumburg. As part of our new Speakers Bureau series, we look forward to offering more opportunities like this to connect you with the people and processes behind village services. A recording of today's presentation will be shared, and we encourage you all to stay engaged, ask questions, and join us for future sessions. Have a wonderful day, and thank you all for being here.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your Friday.